Hey there YouTube, Doc's Motorcycle Service. Welcome back to the garage. So we're going to be doing a little sidebar video today. Going to be talking about the drag Specialties turn signal mount. What we wanted to do was lessen the profile of the rear end of Donna. Donna's got this like 14-inch wide turn signal mount on the back, or turn signal bar, whatever you want to call it, that circles underneath the tail light and goes out to like this wide on the bike. And I get why it's there, because normally these bikes come, or they did come from Harley with the big soft bags on them. So it's nice to have that light out there. Anyway, owner doesn't want it on there. He wants Donna to have a nice tight little rear end on her. So what we're going to do today in this sidebar video is we're going to lessen that profile by about 2 inches on each side. And we're going to have a little obstacle to overcome. It's me. It's one of those personal things. But, okay, so in absolute total disclosure, I dislike having a hole in something that doesn't have anything traveling through it. And I hate to see, or I dislike seeing messed up paint on something where something used to be. Unfortunately, after 36 years on the road, Donna's got some scuffiness where her light bar mounts to the fender, or her turn signal mounts to the fender, and the mount for the new turn signal is way smaller than the mount for the original turn signal mounting bar, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. Real quick, check out the Facebook page, getting some activity over there. Again, it's just a better place for you to leave a comment, answer a question, find an answer to a question, post a question, whatever. So go check it out. As you can see here, this mount is probably about 3/8 of an inch wide and by 3/8 of an inch long. Maybe let's call it 3/8 square. As you're going to see on Donna, the fender where these mount, and they go in at a funny angle, is stamped 1 inch by 1 inch square on each side, because the OEM mounting bar has about a 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch mounting bar, where this one is like 3/8 by 3/8. And there's a little scuffed up paint in there, which I don't like, and we're going to address. But the biggest obstacle is how to put this on there and make it look aesthetically pleasing. Okay, so let's go take a look at that. And fender's on the bike right now, but it's not attached. If you saw the other video prior to this one, then you'll know why it's on there. So here's our existing light bar. Here's the one we want to put on there, and we're just going to put it on backwards. So you can see that's going to bring these signals in about 2 inches on each side. I think you'll be able to see the difference there. These are actually about a 1/2 inch this way, and this is about a 3/4 inch this way. But the goal here is to take this bar off, take these assemblies off, place them on here, get this mounted back in here. I'm going to take this off, get it over on the table. We'll take a look at this paint. And maybe, if nothing else, just take a little light sandpaper to it to get the rust off of it, and then put a light touch-up coat of paint on it. The bar is just held on by 2 bolts that just go through the fender into the mount here. You have your wires for your lights, and they come in here. Now, keep in mind, Donna's an old bike. She's been passed around a lot, and she's been touched up a lot over the years. Normally, this doesn't look this messy. And if you're finding this video and you didn't watch the previous video where we rewired this and made it all straight, go back and take a look at that. But I'm just going to take these 2 out, trace these wires into here, loosen them up, snap them out. Just a word of caution. Tech tip. Tech tip. when you go to start changing out electrical things on your motorcycle, make damn sure the wire you're cutting is the wire you want to cut. An easy way to do that is to take a piece of painter's tape. Don't use duct tape and don't use electrical tape because they're too hard to get off. Take your tape, you can make it smaller, I've just done this so you can see it. Take your wire, wrap it around it, put both ends together, rip it down to it's kind of small, take a Sharpie, put letter A on it, put B on it, put whatever, but put it on both sides of the wire before you cut the wire. Then when you cut that wire, you know which two wires go together. The last thing you want to do is get in a hurry, snip the wrong wires, and then be back in there messing with this stuff, repairing stuff that you didn't want to cut, and then having to fix what you went in there to do. So take your time, make sure what you're doing is what you want, and I'm just saying, take your time, cut the right wires. Alright, so there's our bar. I think you can fully appreciate the difference in these sizes. Now, if your bike is brand new and you've not got worn out, rusted areas on your fender, you probably don't have to worry about what we're going to do today. But as you can see, this light bar going on there, when it's mounted, it's going to leave some ugliness in there. I don't like ugliness. So what we're going to try to do is to fix this up in a way that will allow it to be more appealing to the eye, less noticeable. And that's what we're going to do now. So here's my plan. I'm going to take a Dremel tool with a buffing brush. I'm going to clean this up in here, and then I'm going to come back and take some touch-up paint we have and clean this up really nice. And we got a little sandpaper brush here. It's got little individual sandpapers on it, and we're going to put this thing at the slowest possible setting. So tech tip, safety tip. Let your tech tip be to put this on the slowest possible setting. Get a good hand grip, a good steady hand grip where you want to go at, and try to go at an angle that makes what you're doing 90 degrees to what you're working on. In other words, if I was working on this area right here, I would try to come in like this. I would not come in at a sharp angle. Sharp angles tend to take off more than what you're working on. Your safety tip is keep your finger out of the way, and always wear safety glasses. So let's take this and see what happens. Now sometimes the slowest setting is not the best setting. You're just going to have to play with these things. So we're going to kick the speed up a little bit. Another important factor to keep in mind, and we've talked about this in my motorcycle electrical system explained video, and I'll put up a link here. This assembly has one bulb in it that has two elements. Has two wires coming out of it. But the light bulb itself requires a ground in order for it to work. The frame is grounded. the fender will be grounded to the frame. The light bar has to be grounded to the fender. So we just cannot come in here and completely cover up all this shininess with paint. We have to leave a small section of it bare, so when this makes contact with it, it grounds itself, or at least it's grounded through the bolt that comes to the other side, and the back side of this is nice and clean. Alright, so we're going to take care of the other side. You can call that a tech tip if you want to. We're going to clean up the other side, and then we're going to put some paint on it, and we'll probably be right back, but in reality it's probably going to be a couple of days. Not too bad for a first coat. Remember, tech tip, go very, very lightly with this stuff. If you don't feel comfortable with a brush, go paint your girlfriend's toenails or your wife's toenails a couple of times. You want to go on very light. One of the reasons I went all over this area here was also to give it a little sealer to slow down that rusting process. Alright, so we're going to put about 2 or 3 more coats on this and do the other side, and we'll be back. Okay, so we're back like 4 days later, and 4 really slow applied coats of the touch-up paint. And as you can see, this is looking a lot better. You know, now keep in mind, this isn't a professional paint job here. This is just a little fix to make that area less noticeable when we put the new bar back on. And looking at it with the bar back in place, you can see how much better it looks with just the original bar on it. Now with this bar in place, you can see how much better that's going to look and how less noticeable it's going to be. So the next step in the process is to transfer these lights over to this light bar. And it's not going to be a problem. But whenever you're doing a project like this, make sure that what you're buying is what you want. As you can see, this bar here has a hole in the middle for your wires and 2 mounts here for the light assembly. And I think you'll be able to see this. This one mounts the same way. You have a bolt down in there and a bolt up here, and your wires come through the middle. So we're going to go ahead and snatch these off, put these on the new bar, and we'll be right back. There you go. So you can see how these boys match up. Make sure that you're putting it back on the right way. Don't put it on this way. Put it on the correct way. So we're going to get this other one taken off. We're going to get them put back on here, and we'll be right back. So there's the first one. And you may have noticed how tight this was down in here, and that one bolt way down there in the bottom. Well, they thought about that and how tight it would be to get this in there to get that bolt in. What they did was give you an access hole right here that you could run through there and make that happen with. Well, that's a considerable difference. As you can see here, this section here was out here. Putting that thing out here to about that far looks pretty good. Got them all tightened up. So next thing to do is to get her up here, get them mounted in, and we're going to get our wires back in. So stick around. I want to make sure to cover one thing with you. Butt end connector, wire pliers. That's how we're going to put these back together. You just take your little wire on the end of it, use your wire pliers, strip down a little bit of it, twist it, take your butt end connector, slide it in, use your wires, pinch it together, do the same thing with the other end, and you're good to go. There she is. Looks pretty nice. The paint looks good. It matched up well. Considerably better looking rear end on her there. Very happy with the way that turned out. But as you can see, we've got the smaller light bar mounted on here now. And pretty happy with the way it looked. It's not that complicated. The most important thing that you want to keep in mind is to make sure you mark those wires. Dealing with the electrical stuff on a bike can be a little intimidating. Just make sure your battery's always unplugged. Follow your owner's manual to understand which terminal that you unplug first. Remember, I'm not telling you how you will do this. I'm telling you how I would do it. So if you choose to do it my way, well, you're still on your own. I'm not responsible for you or your motorcycle. But what I'm saying is electricity can be funny. Take your time, mark your wires, watch videos on butt end connectors, what have you, put them together. If you found your way here, it's probably because you were watching the video 7.5 on the wiring harness of Hot Donna. If you didn't watch all of those and you ended up here, we are doing a series where we tore a 1986 Heritage Softail down to the frame and started restoring it. Restoring is not the most correct word because we're not going back completely with factory original equipment. There's some different handlebars and there's some different grips and there's some different floorboards and stuff, but she'll be about 90% the way she was from the factory, maybe 85%. So there ought to be a little video popping up here that'll take you to that series of videos. In any case, you know, YouTube, just appreciate you coming by. Check out the comments at the Facebook page. Click on some of the advertisements every now and again. Like I said before, it's only 25 seconds of your life. Okay? Watch a video. Help me help you. That little bit of money I get from them things, you know, it buys a tool here for the garage that I'll share with you. So, as always, handle your business, ride safe, and save some money. Thanks for coming by the garage there, YouTube. And cut!